Hello everyone and welcome to Hutch's Garage for episode 43 of my 1954 International Harvester Farmall Super MTA tractor restoration. In this episode I'll remove the Torque Amplifier clutch plate and resurface it. I'll then put it back in. Then I will install the 7-inch TA clutch and install the TA clutch throwout bearing onto the clutch shaft. Please note that this video footage was taken at an earlier date.
Carrier. I've already taken the clutch plate out and the clutch, but I decided I need to take this carrier out to clean up the surface area along here. Then I'll put it back in. The other idea is too, I'll be able to clean this cavity better. It's full of dust from the clutch material. Maybe a little grease has gotten in there. This is a separate cavity that does not have any oil, and the front part here is where the independent power takeoff primary gear would go in here, and then the main shaft from the clutch goes through and into and connects here, which this is the shaft. This part of the shaft goes into the pilot bearing. The clutch sits here, and the independent power takeoff shaft is a hollow tube with a spline right here that goes into the pressure plate for the clutch, and this goes on back, and this coupling here goes onto that. So that's what drives that from the engine. So there's a locking plate. It's hard to see. The little tab is right here, and need to bend that up. And let's see if I can. This is a special tab. I also noticed the nut is fairly loose. Let's get that tab up there so the nut will go by it. Yeah, I'm moving the nut now. Okay, it's going past the tab. It's a large nut. All right. That's all it is. Fairly large diameter. And this should now be loosed to come out. I need to pry on this a little bit and use this. Work it back and forth. Let's see. I'll be able to get that lock plate out here. Get a screwdriver. There we go. There we got the. So that's what that looks like. Looked like there's only one tooth. Alright, and there's the one that was folded down. Yeah, there we go. I'm not sure if I can get this out. Here we go. Takes a little trick. There's another seal right here that's on the torque amplifier. It's inside here, but this is not part of the seal. This is designed with a lip that I guess throws dirt or whatever else out to the outside. So before I clean too much, I'll probably wrap some towels in there to keep any liquid going in there if I use a cleaning fluid or anything like that. So I'll clean the back of this. So that's what that looks like. There's the part number on it. If you can see that. So that's all I plan to do at this point, is clean this area up, and then we'll show the rest of the work going back together. To put the torque amplifier clutch back in, I need to get a few other things in here first. There's a seal that goes right here. It actually goes in from this side here. That's part of the independent power takeoff system, all right? So this is the primary gear for the independent power takeoff system, and this part here is driven from the clutch pressure plate. There are two bearings here. There's a carrier that goes on this side and 3 bolts that bolt it in from that direction. And this seal will ride right here, okay? So I'll put this in here without the carrier just to kind of show you where it goes. I'm not putting it all the way in. So that bearing would go back about another half inch, 5/8 of an inch. And so I'm going to put the seal in. I'll put it in from this direction. This seal is an SKF 19236. That's what replaces the original seal. One thing I don't like about these are not the seal outside and all this is not as strong as the original ones. So I'll take this back out. And what I'm going to use, I've got a 2-inch socket that will made up just perfectly to drive this seal in. So the first thing I'm going to do is set the seal in here. Kind of get it started by hand, and I'll drive it in with this, and I'll do that off camera, but that's what I'm doing. I'll take this, you can see it here, line it up. I need to be looking at it real close, and then I will tap it in from that end. We're at the torque amplifier section of the tractor. I'm ready to put the clutch carrier back in here on this blind shaft in this location. As you can see, I'm spinning the carrier for the plant gears on the torque amplifier there. So here's the clutch carrier. I've resurfaced. There was some rust on here, but generally it's in good condition, good enough for this, and so we're ready to put it in. The steps for this, they'll be, I'll put the clutch carrier on. There's a lock, fold-over lock washer there, and then this is the circular nut that goes on here, and we'll put that on. So I got to slip this in down here, like so. Shove it back all the way. This is a fold-over lock ring here. This is a tight section. Okay, there's the fold-over lock there. And to start this, Well, I want to make sure this taper goes that direction on the tractor, this tapered side. There we go. So we got it going. So to tighten this, what I'm going to do, put this screwdriver in here and get it in a location. I need to lock this, keep this from moving, so I probably need to get a piece of wood. So we'll come back to that. So I'll stick a piece of wood right here up against the casing. We'll see if we can get our screwdriver in here. I can go through from here, and I'm going to take this light out of the way. No, that's not going to do it either. Try to get that as tight as I can. And now look for a blowing some of the dust away, a fold over lock that lines up. So we're going to turn this around and look. There's one there that's close. We need to go a little bit farther on the net if we can. May not get much more. This wasn't exactly 100% tight to begin with. All right, there. Let's check for another one. It looks like that one's going to be it. So I'm pulling over that lock right there. Okay, so now we're ready for the clutch. So this was the old clutch. It's worn some, but it's not terrible. And it went on this way. This ring right here went this direction, okay? So I've got a new clutch. Take it out of the bag. This one does not have this ring, however, this is the side that does go this direction. This part here, which is similar to this, this side goes towards the pressure plate. So we'll put the clutch on, the spline. I say that. That's correct. I'm just not able to line it up. There we go. All right. So we got that lined up. So there's the clutch, and you see it turn the planetary gears there. Pressure plate would go up against this. So now we're ready to put the pressure plate on. And you want to have something handy when you do this job. There's going to be some pieces that could drop, and get the handy magnet, have it handy in case I need it. So here's the pressure plate. These are the washers and bolts that I use to lock it down. In other words, the fingers are pulled in to release some of the tension with the spring. So I've got this painted to line it back up where it was in case it was bounced for whatever reason. Alright, got a washer and a bolt. We'll start the first one. Of course, I'm blocking the view. There's still some pressure that's not fully Alright, let's get another one on. What's going on here? I'm not inside. There we go. That's what I need. Yeah, the plate is thicker for one thing too, taking up a little extra room. Let's get the other bolt on here. Yeah, we're going to turn it. Let's put this one in. Let's go all the way around here. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to be doing, is pulling this in with these bolts. And then relieving the final bit of pressure off the fingers from these bolts, retainer bolts here, and the fender washers. All right, there we're getting some tension. All right, I got one more, or two more actually. That clutch is a 7-inch clutch, by the way. All right, the last bolt. work this in as we go. Slowly bringing it in. Try to do it as evenly as possible. Plus, I can't turn it the other direction or backwards. So we're within about a 32nd to a 16th of an inch. In most areas, bring this one down. These 6 bolts takes the full power of this engine driving the transmission. It's kind of odd to me, this small clutch right after the main clutch, which is 12 inches, and taking the full power with such a tiny little clutch. But that's what it does. That one's seated. That's seated. That's seated. All right, so I'll tighten these the rest of the way off. Then we're ready to take these off and be ready to put the throwout bearing on. So I'm now ready to take these holders down, these temporary blocks on the fingers of the clutch. And they're a 5/16 inch bolt. So I need to be ready to catch the washers. Alright, got that one out. There's that. So let's now focus on the throwout bearing. This is the operator arms for the throwout bearing, and the throwout bearing will go here. So I'll get my new one. Alright, so it's ready to go in. Here's the shaft that operates the throwout bearing. So when I started gathering the parts back up for the Torque Amplifier clutch, throwout bearing, and this clutch release shaft here for the TA, I noticed there was places for Woodruff Creek keys, and I did not remember taking them out. However, I kept looking and looking in my parts bags for those keys. These are 5/32 by 3/4 inch keys, and they weren't there. I went back and looked at the video taking this apart, and they weren't in there when I took it apart. It was only held on by this screw tightened down into the shaft here, into the throwout shaft. So I'm going to attempt to put those in there. When I clean this cavity out down below, seeing a little bit of grease, there was a key, and I never gave it any thought at the time. Of course, this is a little bit later, and realized now that that was probably one of the keys they dropped down in there. So there's my keys. Get the parts here. Now there are two washers, one on each end, this end and the end over here. So let's see. I don't think it really matters much which goes where. This washer has to go on. There's a C circlip right here, and I left that one on. The one on this end I had to take off to get this shaft out. So let's put this on. Put the shaft in so far. Oh boy, these keys are going to be hard to get in there. Let's see. So this will go like this. And those keys are there. They're on the bottom side. So I don't know how I'm going to get those back in there at all. So let's pull this out. All right. So I'm slipping the fork down in here. I'm going to grab a hold of the screw here to something to hold on to. Guide it into the shaft. And what I'm going to do is place this. Oh, there we go. That's how to do it. Put the fork off to the side and place these keys in here. I've already fitted them, so they should work. Make sure they're flat and square. Bring this up, and the keys go with it like this, okay? Let me get my light. I gotta get another light over here. Yeah, the keys are on the back. They go like this. All right. Get this so I can see. All right. Alright, now I'm going to take this screw out so I can see where the hole is to get it centered. I'm up against the washers here. Looks like I'm pretty close. So I'll run this down all the way. Looks like I need to back off this jam nut. I want to get the screw almost all the way in here. Alright, the screw's all the way in. So I'll tighten the jam nut. Alright, I think I got it. Now all I got to do, okay, let's just look at how close the it touches the fingers at the same time. Get this clutch around here. Looks like it does. And it takes a lot of power to pull those fingers in, but anyway, so that part is complete. The next thing will be to put the main shaft from the engine, and there's a coupling that goes on into a spline down in here, and we'll slide it through this way. So that'll be the next step. We'll eventually be able to close all this up.
That's all the time we have for in this episode. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Please continue to join me for the next episode as I restore and rebuild this 1954 International Harvester Farmall Super MTA tractor.